Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video. In this video we're going to be taking a first look at The Gentleman, who is a new promo character coming into Road to Survival. And as we can see him as an S-class, he's got some weird body posture for the zombie apocalypse. He looks a little bit too relaxed. Hand in the pocket, but finger on the trigger. I mean, he just looks like too chill. Sunglasses on. Does look a bit haggard, but I guess you'd expect that in the zombie apocalypse. They do get more progressively degraded, their kit, basically what they look like. But he isn't wearing a backpack or a hat, so instantly it's just like I like the look of it, basically. It looks great. So as an S-class character, he has 6,345 attack. That is the highest attack stat in the games thus far. 3,058 defense, 3,250 HP. Now his adrenaline rush is keeping in line with his name, The Gentleman. It's called Chivalrous Shot, and it is a 76 AP cost rush. Deal 1,500% damage to one enemy. This character regains up to 100% of their max HP, so like one of the most easy to understand rushes in the game. One character is getting absolutely obliterated, and the Gentleman will regain 100% of his max HP, which is pretty decent. The second half of it, I mean, you could question it maybe, but it's not terrible. He'll just get max HP after doing his rush. The amount of damage output that this is insane, especially considering he has the highest attack stat in the game. And I think this is basically being brought into the game to counter what is potentially going to come up in the future. Not right now, but in the future we're going to see a bit more green defense teams where they've got Stonewall, which means they cannot be defense downed, and you're going to rely on high base attack stat and high percentage rushes. And the Gentleman pretty much is going to be that guy. He's going to be that guy where it doesn't matter if a character's got Stonewall, doesn't matter if they can't be defense downed. The Gentleman doesn't need it. The amount of output he's going to have is insane. If he gets the smallest of buffs, like the smallest of buffs, he's going to absolutely nuke. No problem at all. Like, let's just say he was in a team with Alice with a 75%. I mean, the numbers you're going to see on that hit is going to be immense. It's absolutely going to be immense. And I don't think any character is really going to have the chance of surviving that. It's going to be very, very difficult to do that. But we'll move across to his active skill, and it is a normalized active skill. It has an initial cooldown of 2, cooldown of 4, number of uses 10. Target enemy gets normalized for 2 turns, so it's a single target normalize, and I kind of like this. I think it's a bit more strategy and skill based. It does only last 2 turns, but it basically will nullify one enemy, and you can obviously nullify very important specialist skills. Right now you can say Payback Shiva is going to be a big problem. Obviously if a team has 2 Payback Shivas, this isn't going to help there, but you will help with one of those Shivas. It can cool down and you can get the other one if you so wish. However, this guy can work in a team, obviously because he's ranged. He can easily work in a team with Princess. So Princess can normalize, and then let's say if there's 2 Shivas on a defense team, Princess only hits one of them, because obviously it's a targeted normalize on Princess's active skill, and then the other 2 are random. So like the other 2 randoms don't actually hit Shiva, then the Gentleman can do it. Now the downside of this is that he will not gain AP, so he will lose out on a turn. He will not get his rush as quickly. But I actually don't mind that in this situation, because normalize is very strong. Obviously, completely neutralizing someone's specialist skill, it can be pretty much what makes a character as good as they are. So having it so that he's not going to get his rushes quickly, you're going to rely on a command a little bit more to actually get this to happen, like get his rush to happen the next turn, for instance. So he could like attack turn 1, normalize turn 2, attack turn 3, get commanded turn 3 to rush. That's absolutely fine. Sometimes, however, it isn't nice when someone has a turn 2 active and they're not gaining AP, especially if they're not doing something that powerful. But normalize, I think, is very, very powerful. Particularly because this character is an attack team character, so you can control when you do this. It isn't going to happen just by itself. I don't see people using this guy on defense too much just because his defensive stats are so low. You could potentially rely fully on that attack stat and try and get those first or second turn nukes, but it's unlikely to be the case. Especially considering he's alert, and especially considering alert are actually getting destroyed right now by Rampage. So we'll look at his specialist skill, and it plays into that 1,500% damage really nicely. Obviously, Waste Not means that any character that gets killed any excess damage over the top of that character's HP will then get passed to an adjacent character. I'll read it out. It says, when this specialist kills an enemy with an attack or an adrenaline rush, any excess damage is dealt to one adjacent target. And basically the gentleman just looks like a boosted version of Krista, where Krista has 5,800 attack stat, and I think Krista also has 750% on her rush. This guy has 6,300 and 1,500% on his rush. Now, Krista does have a little bit more control with the rest of her rush. It is actually quite a nice bit of control as well. The slow is very nice. And her overall stats are actually higher. She has, I think, closer to 13,000 total stats, where this guy has around 12,500. She has a little bit more defensive stats. Her HP is over 4,000. So they're different characters for sure. But this guy, like I said, I think he's basically being brought in to deal with those Stonewall teams, or the potential Stonewall teams that we're going to see in the future. Now, if people are trying to play ahead and get ahead of the game, they know that eventually Greens will have a team that's going to be pretty nasty, and it's starting to look that way. You're getting to see some nice defense team characters coming out, and who knows what comes out in the future. There may be some strong characters on the way that just make, you know, those Laupo, Dayu sort of defense teams just take it up a notch, and it could be very hard to deal with. Now, he does also have an attached weapon. Obviously, he's just holding it, and it's just so relaxed. And we'll look at his weapon. It says, the Gentleman's Violent Silenced Pistol. It has 30% attack base, which is obviously great. A medium bonus to AP when attacking is the upgrade slot. You're going to want to make this very large or huge. And then the last slot is interesting. It says, when attacking, a great chance to recover from taunt and impair, and this character gains 35 bonus HP. So that 35 bonus HP can happen, I believe, even if he's not recovering from taunt and impair, but it's hard to know. I would assume that can happen no matter what. So 35% bonus HP is actually pretty nice, just from basic attacking. It reminds me of, who does it remind me of? Brian? I think it reminds me of Brian in the 6-star era, who also had bonus HP on his weapon when he just does an attack. But the thing is, this guy's got such high base attack, he can utilize the new splash damage 120% to all adjacent characters so well. It's going to be absolutely disgusting if that basic attack hits with the splash damage. Krista, when she does it, it's really, really bad. But when this guy will do it, because he's got higher attack stat, and obviously all the multipliers come in. So while he has 500 more attack right now, by the end of it, after all the 30%, 50%, 40%, he's going to have maybe over 2,000 more attack stats. So, you know, it doesn't make as much difference at the beginning, but at the end, all those multipliers come in, it's going to be brutal. And that's going to be pretty nice. Obviously, hitting big numbers on things like splash damage and rampage is a lot of fun, even if it is quite powerful, overpowered in some cases. Seeing crits, seeing big numbers is always a lot of fun. So I think this character is definitely going to be an enjoyable character to use, because I'm always down for using attack characters. I think attack characters are generally the best way to go. He is one of the only characters within the alert trait that actually does percentage damage to a high standard. You know, we've got Krista, and then all the other ones like bleed, tank, and stuff like that within the S class, just like kind of healers, damage over time sort of deal. And this is what we kind of needed. I think going forward, there's going to need to be those hard-hitting characters. People who didn't choose Krista from the crate can say, hey, the Gentleman looks perfect for me, I'll go for the Gentleman. People who want to try and think ahead, or even now, because I am seeing some pretty decent Laupo teams coming out now, but it's going to be worse when, you know, they get a medic. You know, when there's an actual good medic goes into a Laupo team, then it's going to be a problem. When there's like Guardian Shields, then it's going to be even bigger problem. You know, these sort of characters, you've got to think about these characters coming out. Will the Gentleman help there? And definitely, this guy's not going to fall off too quickly, because 1,500% is a lot of damage. And the huge potential of these green teams with that Stonewall is going to be really nasty in the end, I think, because I think a lot of people do rely on defense down, and they're not going to be able to do it against those teams. They're just not going to be able to do it. But that is the Gentleman, guys. Do tell me what you think about this character. Obviously, one of the heaviest hitting characters to come into the game. He is single target, but with that special skill, he basically becomes 2-target kill potential. And while I do mainly like see him as an attack character, we could see him in like some really niche defense teams, especially if he gets that splash weapon. He could potentially like wipe an entire team turn one, because the attack teams do not have good defensive stats, and those high damage dealing like rampage, splash damage weapons on defense, that first turn can just win you the raid pretty much straight away. But he looks good, he looks dangerous. Do tell me what you think about him as a character. Will you be pulling for him? That is the end of my video, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in, and as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.